In times of economic turmoil or recession, it's more important than ever to have a solid recession-proof digital strategy. That's exactly what I want to talk about here today. My name is Eric Kimberling. I'm the CEO of Third Stage Consulting. We're an independent consulting firm that helps clients throughout the world achieve the third stage of digital transformation success. And one of the things we oftentimes help our clients with is defining digital strategies. Digital strategies are very important regardless of when or where you might go through a digital transformation. But in times of economic uncertainty and recession, whether you're in economic uncertainty at the moment or whether you're anticipating potential economic uncertainty, having a solid, right-sized digital strategy is more important than ever. So what I want to do today is talk about the various digital strategies that are most effective if you want to recession-proof your digital strategy. Historically, organizations have focused on implementing single enterprise-wide technologies, such as ERP systems or human capital management, CRM systems, whatever the case may be. And these are big, massive, expensive, complicated endeavors. They're risky, they take a lot of time and money, and they can be challenging regardless of what type of economic environment you're operating in. However, in times of economic uncertainty or recession, it's even more important to make sure that you rethink that approach and look at options and alternatives to how you can implement solutions that aren't necessarily big, massive, bloated digital transformations, but ones that are a little bit more prescriptive, a little bit more targeted, and a little bit more right-sized for economic turmoil. One option that organizations often pursue is this concept of interoperability. So in other words, instead of implementing a single ERP system, for example, that spans your entire operations, you might leave some of your legacy systems in place and put in systems that can tie together those technologies and provide a more complete enterprise-wide solution without necessarily having to replace every system you have throughout your organization. Some examples of systems that can accomplish this would be systems such as Palantir or ServiceNow, systems that aren't necessarily ERP systems, but systems that are meant to operate with other systems and coexist with other systems within the environment. And that's where the term interoperability comes from. And the reason that this digital strategy is so important in times of economic uncertainty is because it allows you to get business value faster. There's less risk, there's less upfront investment. You can get the business value faster. Because you're not replacing your broad enterprise-wide technologies, but instead you're putting in more targeted solutions that can help you mitigate risk as well as maximize value at a lower cost. So as you think about digital strategies in times of economic uncertainty, it may help to consider this concept of interoperability within your digital strategy. One of the most effective digital strategies that organizations can pursue is this concept of making sure you have a business blueprint and an implementation readiness plan prior to starting your digital transformation. Now, this strategy, by the way, is something that's highly effective anytime, but especially during times of economic uncertainty and during recession. And the reason for that is because the more time you invest in spending in getting your implementation readiness in place and ensuring that you have a solid business blueprint prior to starting to deploy technology, the faster and cheaper you're going to actually be able to deploy the technology. And so when you're in the midst of a recession and resources are constrained and you don't have unlimited budgets, which you never do, but especially not during recessions, this investment in this upfront phase zero of a project can be highly effective in ensuring that you get the most bang for your buck and the highest possible ROI from your investments in technology. So if you're concerned about the economy, if you're concerned about a recession and you're about to start a digital transformation, one of the most important things you can do is to start with this phase zero, this implementation readiness phase, this business blueprint to ensure that you have a solid plan to address your overall digital transformation. Now, for more information on this, I actually have some videos on my YouTube channel that unpack this concept of implementation readiness in more detail. So I encourage you to check out those videos as well. When there's economic uncertainty on the horizon, your CFO and others within your organization are going to have a bullseye on any sort of capital spending. So when you think about what your digital transformation is going to look like, it's extremely important that you tie it back to a business case that focuses on delivering business value to your organization. And if you're making decisions or thinking about digital transformation investments that don't contribute or don't materially add to the business value being delivered, then you probably shouldn't do it. And by being proactive and only focusing on high value, high ROI types of activities, that's going to make it less likely that if you do reach an economic rough patch at some point during the transformation, it'll make it a lot less likely that the project gets shut down or delayed or worse yet, canceled as a result of the economic uncertainty. So have a clear business case and a benefits realization or business value plan that really ties the investments, the costs in the business value that will be delivered to the organization. And you want to do this not only as a philosophical exercise, but also as one that, more importantly, you can use to measure actual results as you're implementing new technologies throughout your organization. An important insurance policy in digital transformations that are happening during economic uncertainty is this whole concept of independent project governance and risk mitigation. Think of it as a sort of insurance policy that ensures that you finish your project on time and on budget, and that you actually deliver the business value that you expect to see. And what we mean by independent project governance and risk mitigation is, first of all, to ensure that you have a solid PMO in place, a program management organization that's managing not just your software vendor, but all the other non-technical aspects of your transformation. Things like data migration and change management, your internal resources that are being added to the project, integration, overall system architecture, things of that nature are examples of things that tie into an overall PMO. And something that runs side by side with this concept of PMO is risk mitigation or quality assurance. And that's really just a way to proactively and objectively identify where the risks in the implementation might be, and more importantly, putting together mitigation strategies to proactively address those risks before they become so problematic that it completely disrupts your project. Now, when you think about risk mitigation, there's a quality assurance framework that you can use to identify and anticipate where some of the most common risks are. And I'm showing a graphic here that shows the 13 different areas that we use with our clients as part of their risk mitigation efforts in a way that we help manage the overall transformations. And the important thing here is to do a couple things. One is to make sure that you're looking at the complete picture of your overall transformation and that you're identifying all the risks within those different dimensions of your project, but also making sure that you do so in an independent and technology agnostic way. What I mean by that, in another way to say it, is make sure that it's not your software vendor or your system integrator that's doing the quality assurance or the risk mitigation. Reason being is that typically their vested interest is to paint a rosy picture of how things are going and how well their technology works, where your interest is to make sure that you're identifying risks and mitigating risks and making the project successful. So you really want to make sure that you have an independent third party that can manage quality assurance and provide that overall program management and program governance that you're looking for to make your project successful. And independent and technology agnostic consulting firms like Third Stage Consulting are good options to help you through that process. And by the way, if you're interested in learning more about this quality assurance framework, I encourage you to check out some of the videos on my YouTube channel that cover this quality assurance framework in a lot more detail. And last but not least, you want to focus on, you guessed it, organizational change management. Anytime you go through a digital transformation, change management is critical, but especially in times of economic uncertainty. If you're about to go through a recession or you're in the middle of a recession, people are generally worried about their jobs to begin with. There's a lot of stress and turmoil in people's lives in general. And so if you throw a digital transformation on top of their lives, their acceptance of change is going to be diminished. They're a lot less likely to accept and embrace change. And even if you're not in the midst of economic uncertainty, change management is absolutely critical because digital transformations tend to impose a lot of change on people and organizations, more than most organizations realize. So change management is a highly effective way to mitigate the risks of the people or the human side of change. And it's a great way to ensure that your project stays on track, your digital transformation is delivering business value, and just as importantly, making sure that your digital transformation doesn't undermine your operations and your culture and other things you've worked so hard to create over the years. Now, for more change management best practices, I have a ton of change management videos on my YouTube channel. So be sure to go to my change management playlist that unpacks the concept of change management in a lot more detail. In addition, I encourage you to download some of the materials I've included links to below. Most notably, I've included a link to our digital transformation report, which is an annual report we publish each year that covers implementation and digital transformation best practices, as well as independent reviews and rankings of different software and technology options and other resources meant to make your digital transformation successful. So I encourage you to download that report in the links below. I've also included a number of other links to other resources beyond that I think will help you through your digital transformation. So I encourage you to check that out as well. So I hope you found this information useful and hope you have a great day.